the Forum, a true SaaS multi-tenant platform that delivers value to employees, corporate real estate and facilities, even landlords and building managers. For your people, the Forum makes it easy to find the best workspaces and meeting rooms to keep them productive and efficient throughout the workday, wherever that may be. It's been proven that offering more choice and flexibility drives engagement, productivity, and ultimately revenue, not to mention the improved morale with no more fighting over double-booked conference rooms. For the real estate and facility management, you can help improve employee experience while still measuring actual utilization and optimizing office space use, and even use excess unused space to generate both direct and indirect revenue by sharing your space with partners, clients, maybe prospects, and increasing the chances of collaboration and collisions. The Forum will even integrate with your smart building technologies to increase operational and people efficiencies. So how about that? For building owners and managers, it's really all about the tenant experience. With more competition from workspace providers like WeWork, landlords must offer extra amenities like executive conference rooms, VIP lounges, and parking services. The Forum makes it easy for the landlords to share and manage the use of those amenities and assets with all tenants on one platform. And with multiple integrations and an open RESTful API, the Forum is made to be seamlessly integrated into your workplace ecosystem to make work and collaboration as easy as possible. And later in the presentation, you'll actually hear from Dane Aldridge of the Intel Visual Retail Internet of Things group, who will share with you a bit more about some of our meeting room integrations that we're building in partnership with Intel. So thank you for joining us today, Dane. We'll look forward to hearing from you in just a bit. And last but certainly not least, the Forum provides easy access to accurate utilization data through all of those interactions made within the system and the building throughout each day across your entire portfolio. The Forum includes an integrated analytics engine with pre-built reports and widgets and provides real-time insight both quickly and accurately on how employees choose to engage with your space. So here we are 1 year after the launch of the Forum. Can't believe it's been a year already. And we're about to have our third major release, and one of the most pivotal, as you'll hear later in the webinar. As a true SaaS platform, all new features and enhancements are available to all customers immediately. No more fees or implementation time for upgrades, as with some traditional on-premise platforms. And for example, our first release last winter brought floor plans for easier wayfinding and visual room booking. And the summer release, much of what will be covered today, included key functionality like SAML authentication, mobile apps, integration with access control devices, and some new digital signage. And with the upcoming fall release, in just a few weeks, well, you'll just have to wait for the juicy details later in the webinar. So now that I've shared some of the value of the Forum, I'm sure you want to see it in action. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael Matat, one of our solutions consultants, to share a day in the life of the Forum, from implementation and ease of use to the operational and strategic data and value you can derive from the system. And then you'll hear from Dane Aldridge from Intel's Visual Retail Internet of Things group. And don't forget, please stay tuned to the end to hear from Torrance Houlihan, our VP of Product, who will share a very exciting announcement about the next release and the future of the Forum. All right, Michael, I think we can turn it over to you now.
All right, thanks, Ashley. So implementing the Forum is about as quick and easy as using the platform itself. Every client is assigned a dedicated implementation manager who guides them throughout the entire process. And then in addition to that, we have a tool we call the data management utility, which allows us to add and modify data in bulk so that you're not adding users and other types of resources in one by one. We will have your environment up and running within 48 hours and then have it fully configured in less than a week. So there's no need to worry about interrupting your day-to-day business activities during implementation. What I'm going to do next is switch over to our mobile app, Keep in mind this is on the Android, but we have the iOS as well. Just to give you an idea of what the day in the life is, or the average day in the life is for the end user. What I'm going to do is just make a simple booking. I'm going to find an office for the remainder of the day. I'm going to hit book, define where I want to make that booking. I have a pretty large list because I'm here in the demo environment, and I'm going to explain that list later. Just going to say I want a workspace, and then finish my end time. I'll go until 5 p.m. When I hit done, I'm receiving a list of all available workspaces at this coastal office complex that I can make a reservation on. And we don't allow double bookings or conflicts, so no need to worry about that. I can scroll through the list, find what I need. Office 4 looks good to me. And actually from this screen, I can look at where this office is on a plan. That's one of the new capabilities we just put into the mobile app. So I can use that as a wayfinding component. And then I'm going to finish my reservation by naming it. Capitalize that. And submitting it. And that's it. So Office 4 is mine for the remainder of the day. You'll see another reservation in there that I made earlier. But what will happen from here is I will be prompted to check in once it's time, once it hits the start time of my reservation. So one of the cool things about the app is that it will send push notifications to my phone that I can simply select. It'll bring me to a screen that prompts me to check in, and I'll complete that check-in in that regard. The other option is simply hitting check-in where I am right now. One of the other cool features about the mobile app is that we can enable geofences around your office, and what that allows us to do is restrict users from logging in until they come within, let's say, 500 feet of the office, and that distance is configurable. So it keeps people from checking in at home or when they're actually not at the office itself. Still speaking to check-in, we do have completed a new integration recently that we call the Open Presence Listener. And what that allows us to do is to connect into your security badge system. So at the beginning of the day, when someone badges into the building, we'll count that as a check-in event just by when they badge through the door. So that's one other way of checking in. And checking in is not required. It's not a mandatory feature at all. We work with some organizations who don't have it enabled. However, we are getting one extra layer of data by requiring it because we're understanding the actual utilization of the spaces they're checking into. We know when they show up, we're tracking the no-shows, and there's one extra component to that in that when they don't show up to the space, we're going to release it for others to potentially use. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our web interface to show a couple of other of our capabilities. So I'm in Chrome here, but you can access this web interface through any device with access to the internet. So I'm in Chrome, it'll work on IE, Firefox as well, but the interface is actually completely responsive. So if you're on an iPad, a tablet, or any other size device, maybe your phone, you'll still get the same rich user experience. So in the case of maybe I don't have the mobile app yet downloaded on my phone, I can still use the browser, and I'm not losing any sort of functionality there. One thing that you noticed as we stepped through the demonstration, and that started in the mobile app and continues here, is that the entire platform is extremely pictorial in nature. So all the images are going to be uploaded by the client, all the images of the spaces. Then the front banner here is configured by the client as well, along with this text. So you're creating a very unique, custom end user experience. And the interfaces also follow a similar architecture to Airbnb or any of those travel websites, and that just speaks to the ease of use. When you use those websites, you don't have to go through any sort of end user training or read a manual. Same idea here. Anyone could log into the platform today and find resources and reserve them as needed. What I'm going to do next is show you a couple of the other functionalities we have here and how someone could use the platform. So just explaining how you search for something. There are 4 fields that will go into a search. The first is the location. As I mentioned earlier, I'm in our demo environment. I'm an administrator. I have access to all the locations that we've added. This could be one location, or it could be your entire real estate portfolio. If you're in a very mobile work environment, you can have users reserving across many different states, many different locations. Or you could have them only access to one location within your portfolio, and we control that through user groups. And to expand on that example, you might have an HR department at one location who only has access to a few desks within that office. We can get very granular with the level of control and permissions over user groups. So just keep that in mind. The second field is going to be the type of asset. Now, up to this point, I've used resource and asset pretty interchangeably, but within the forum, we consider an asset to be any resource that your organization might offer to its end users to be reserved. So most of the time, it's just going to be collaboration spaces and workspaces. However, you can put equipment and services like catering or maybe water or AV services on here as well, or even host your parking. And I'm going to expand on that later in another example. The last two fields in a search are pretty basic, just the start and end time, but I do want to point out one capability, and that is making recurring or no end date reservations. No end date reservations are usually restricted to administrators to manage permanent seat assignment, but recurring I find extremely useful in that, let's just use the example that I know I'll be in the office for 3 days next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Oops. I can go ahead and make that set up now, so I'm making one reservation instead of 3 separate ones. And then from that point, I have 3 separate search options. I can search by floor plan, calendar, or list. I'm going to go into the floor plan now, and I'll select the first floor. So I'm seeing on the floor plan image all available and unavailable workspaces, and it's workspaces in this case. So green is obviously available, and when I hover over any of these images, I'll see additional details like an image about the resource. And then when I hover over something that's unavailable, I'll actually see details about the existing reservation. So that could give me some cues as to if I want to sit next to a teammate or maybe avoid a particular individual. And then I can make a reservation straight from the floor plan. So very easy. The next search I'm going to show you is our calendar search. I'm going to switch over to collaboration spaces at a different location very quickly. So I'm seeing over the course of a day just the available and unavailable time slots. Again, on this screen, I can see the other reservations and book around them really easily. I can see there's a project meeting with Jay that goes from 9 to 2. And then again, I can make reservations straight from the calendar. And there's a couple other portions of this reservation form for collaboration space over workspace that I'm going to point out very quickly. The main one is the number of people expected to attend. That's a metric that we're going to track in our analytics platform, and I'm going to cover analytics at the end of the demonstration here for those waiting on that. And then some of the other portions of the reservation form are adding it to my calendar. And when I enable that, or I check that box, I'll have the option of sending it as an ICS file to my notification that's sent to my email address. So I can add this meeting to my calendar. I'll drag the object over, and then in addition, all invitees, so everyone I add to this meeting will receive that same ICS calendar file I mentioned. Lastly, I also have the option to search by list. And this follows a very similar feel to what you saw in the mobile app. I can easily search through all the images and find what I need. However, I did want to point out one feature I haven't showed yet, and that's the ability to filter any search. And I can actually do this on any of the previous searches. I just want to emphasize it here. So let's say for my meeting, I need some video conferencing capability. It'll automatically pare down the list with what rooms have that amenity. I'm bringing you now to an asset details page. This just shows full details on the asset. one thing I didn't cover on the previous page that you might have saw was our integration with Google Maps. So if I need to get familiar with an area I've never been before, I can take advantage of this feature, maybe get some directions, find a nice food spot. And lastly, as far as the end user experience goes, I wanted to highlight some of our policies. So we talked about check-in earlier. That is something that you can require, not require. But we have a number of other policies that help control how users interact with the resources in the system. One of the interesting ones I like, especially for conference rooms, are the ability to add setup and breakdown time to them. So if I have a setup time, that obviously adds time to the beginning of the reservation automatically, and the same goes with breakdown time at the end. And that's just some examples of our policies. Lastly, this image you see here is just one, but you can have up to 6 on any resource. So if you want to add pictures of specific amenities or instructions about that resource, they can obviously be added here. With that said, I'm going to take you guys into our integrated analytics platform. It's included standard out of the box with our offering. We're going to track every single reservation that's made in the platform so that you can get an understanding of how your facilities and assets are being used. There's actually 2 components to analytics. One is the user side and one is the managerial side. Every user has access to analytics so that they can get an understanding of how they are being stewards of space. You know, am I showing up to my reservations often? Are there a lot of no-shows? How do I compare to other users in the system? These are all things that the standard user will have access to. You may find more additional value, however, in the actual managerial dashboard. As soon as it pops up. There we go. So I'm seeing a custom dashboard that I've made for myself that I feel will give me a good understanding of how my facilities are being used. So this dashboard could be custom to just a few locations that I manage, or again, it could be encompassing all of the real estate that we've added onto the platform. So just some examples. If in the case of being in the mobile workforce, if you have people reserving spaces outside of their home location, and we consider the home location to be what you've been assigned when you're added to the platform, I have this activity trend widget which tracks home and visitor reservations. So obviously there's going to be more home reservations, but it looks like we peak on Wednesday as well for people reserving away from their assigned home location. Then the popular times by location just gives you an understanding of when people are coming into the office most frequently. You can see we kind of peak around 10 a.m. here. It just gives you some insight to when people are showing up and checking in. With that said, I'm going to go over into reports really quickly. So we've got a number of reports to help you understand how your facilities are being used. This reservation list will pull all of the reservations made over a defined period across any number of locations that you decide to add. So right now it's showing me 90 days from today, and then I only have one location on here. I could add multiple or just a few in particular. 2 reports that I really like and are a little bit newer, that's why you're seeing this beta symbol, are the people presence by day and month. And this is showing actual utilization. So this is going back to who is checking in, who isn't. So this is giving you an understanding of which of your employees are good stewards or are good mobile employees, who is checking in and coming into the office most frequently. I can filter this down to show people who are at the office less than 50% of the time, maybe identify some problem users, really whatever you're looking for. This is the one by day, and then give you an understanding of the report by month. So this is showing me on a month-to-month basis the actual utilization of my employees. So I just want to show you guys that to give you a high-level overview of our analytics. Any of these widgets, dashboards, and reports are exportable and can be shared in a variety of formats. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to go back into the PowerPoint here and hand it over to Don in just a moment. I just wanted to impart that we are always working toward improving our analytics and we actually have a very significant improvement coming in the very near term to get more reports around utilization. So these next few slides that you're seeing are all around utilization. This one in particular is showing me how close to max utilization I'm getting, with the red line being the capacity, and it's showing the utilized assets, which are the ones that are actually being checked into versus what is being reserved. Same idea with these next few ones. This is just at a monthly look, and this is showing a range of the actual utilization over time. With that said, I'm going to let Don take it away from here and introduce Dane.
Okay, thank you, Michael, and good afternoon, everyone. But before I introduce Dane, I just want to make a comment about our new market-ready solution. And, you know, we're very excited about bringing this product and solution to the marketplace in partnership with Intel and Meeting Machines. You know, I think you can see, you know, this is an aesthetically attractive display. It is the beginning of expanding our relationship with Intel as we begin to bring the integration with Unite. And I'm going to let Dane speak a little bit about Unite. But we're simply bringing the Unite experience closer to the user and tying it into booking a conference room and being able to initialize a meeting and the collaboration that Unite brings to a meeting from the display. And so we've got some very exciting things coming down the pipe with that integration. But again, you know, this collaboration has been something in the works for about a year now. We're very excited. The initial feedback from those customers who piloted, but not only piloted, are now in production with these displays. The feedback has been just overwhelmingly positive, and we're very excited to continue to push this along. So again, with that, I want to introduce Dane Aldridge. Dane is a representative from Intel's IoT group and has been a very strong champion for bringing new solutions to the marketplace, and in particular expanding Intel's presence into the meeting room marketplace. So with that, Dane, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate the introduction. Just a brief introduction of myself, just to let you all know. I've spent my entire career in the visual communications industry, and prior to coming to Intel about 2 years ago, was a solution architect, and my main focus was on digital signage and collaboration. And I think what you'll see from the follow-up to the initial presentation is why Intel and I as a whole are so excited about the AgilQuest solution and its status on our market-ready solutions portfolio. So our real goal is to make meeting rooms smarter and easier to use, and that benefits everyone from the C-suite on down the line. So it's just a brief introduction to our market-ready solutions program, and you can go ahead. I wanted to let you know that our MRS program started in 2017, and it's really hit its stride in 2018 and will continue to boom as we encounter companies like AgilQuest that has targeted solutions for the market. As you can see by the partner submissions and the approved market-ready solutions kits, it's pretty challenging to receive market-ready solution status with Intel. We really do vet the heck out of these applicants, and in some cases, as we have with AgilQuest, we install a solution into our own customer experience centers, and Intel's in the process of running a pilot of the AgilQuest meeting machine solution in our own facilities because we, like many of you, I'm sure, have meeting rooms with no schedules and collaboration rooms with nothing but a draw on whiteboard. So we're all collectively as an industry working to make our meeting rooms smarter and easier to use. And I just wanted to let you know a little bit about Intel's Unite program, because they've been working with AgilQuest developers to even make this solution go much, much further. So just so you know, the Market Ready Solutions program is focused on IoT solutions that are, as it says here, hardened, they're scalable, and they're supported. And what we mean by that is we want to make sure that this isn't, you know, something that's just hot off the presses, doesn't have any deployment in the field. Really, we take the experience that organizations like AgilQuest have gathered in their own market and create a solutions portfolio that we can resell to Intel's end user customers or through various channel resellers. So our goal is to really make it a fairly single SKU oriented, easy to sell, easy to deploy, and easy to maintain system in the field. And we're, like I said, we've got over 112 market ready solutions at this point. And we really started to hit the ground running in early 2018. So rest assured that this meeting room solution from AgilQuest and Meeting Machines has really been put through the ringer from an evaluation standpoint. And again, Intel, we ourselves are adopting this solution as well. And the next stage would be the Unite integration, which is coming. And I don't want to steal Torrance's thunder as he gets into that, but I just wanted to give you a brief introduction on the main purpose of Intel's Unite. And essentially what we're trying to do is get rid of the cables, because wireless is really where it's at, and who needs cables and dongles? So the Unite solution allows multi-platform wireless presentation capabilities to any display, projector, whatever the display technology is in a meeting room, collaboration room, or suite such as that. So we're offering the ability to simply share your PC screen wirelessly, Android, Windows, iOS, Macintosh OS. We have downloadable applications for that, and it allows you to just boot up, and rather than jumping around the room and who gets the dongle next, or who stole the dongle from the last meeting, or where's the right cable adapter for my version of video output as opposed to someone else's, we're really getting rid of all of that. And we're about to release a new version of Unite that I'll let Torrance dig into a little deeper, but it's really, it's expanding leaps and bounds over the initial purpose of it, which is wireless presentation, to where we're having native touch and multi-touch collaboration, and it comes with available APIs that AgilQuest is doing a great job of taking advantage of to develop, to integrate Unite, so that we can, there's a statistic that's very well known in the collaboration space, that it takes roughly 7.5 minutes for a technology-based meeting to start. And as you can imagine, as you bounce from meeting to meeting all day long, whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, losing 7.5 minutes just so somebody can plug in their laptop or can start the meeting, or people are banging on the door thinking that because your meeting's running late because you got started late, and it really can mess up with the entire schedule of the day's events. So this collaboration between our Unite team, and I'll let you know, I've never seen our Unite team so excited as they are around what AgilQuest is going to do with the solution. That collaboration with Unite, AgilQuest, and Meeting Machines is going to essentially change the market with a hardened Windows-based RFID accessible meeting room solution. So with that, I will hand it over to Torrance and let him expand a little bit on the developments that are going on.
Thanks so much, Dean. This is really exciting stuff going on right now. The fall forum release that's coming up in the next couple weeks here is going to be building on all of the things that Michael and the team have shown as we've gone through this conversation. I'm going to touch on a few of the key points that were brought up earlier by Ashley and Michael and everyone as we've gone through this, but fundamentally, because this is a pure SaaS platform, and everyone has access to all of the new features, there's a steady stream of updates to all components of the application platform to all of our customers coming as they're made available. And some of those things that are coming in, this is a little bit of a sneak peek preview at the features that are coming. Some of the things that are coming are some things that you might expect. Usability improvements, better calendaring integration, more customization to the individual, more control over their experience. And we're going to really get into this in
in the December webinar, so stay tuned. Watch your inboxes for information on the December webinar, because when we do that, we actually will have already released the fall release to the forum, and we'll be able to show these things live. So there's some very what's the right word? There might be the expected improvements that you would think as the application continues to mature and go out to new areas of functionality. But there's a really, really exciting one coming that I'm going to hold to the end, because I want to talk about some of the other things that are going on too. Michael mentioned the ease with which people get up and running on the forum. If you were to call AgilQuest, if you don't already have a forum, if you were to call AgilQuest and say, hey, I want to get started on this, we could have your forum up today. It's that fast because it's a shared infrastructure. You would have your forum up and ready to start receiving information and data from your organization today. The way we do that is improving also in the fall release cycle, where Michael had mentioned the data management utility. That is a way for people to get information into the system and manage the system. What we're doing in the fall release is we're adding to the current capabilities of the user management component. We're adding asset and location management. So if you have another system where all of your rooms are managed, all of the information about your space is already maintained, you'll be able to, through an ETL process, automatically send that information right into the AgilQuest forum to keep the systems in sync in real time. Very exciting updates coming in the data management and data manipulation areas of the forum to help people get up and running faster and easier. Michael showed the mobile apps. Obviously, he was showing one of the things that was a little neat about what he showed is he actually has a beta release of one of our apps. That floor plan feature that he showed, that's actually coming in the release that's being beta tested right now. So updates to both the iOS and the Android mobile apps are coming in the fall release cycle. So if you're already on the forum, look forward to that. If you're not on the forum yet, even more reason to be looking at the forum. Really easy user experience and a consistent look and feel across not only the web application, but the mobile app experience also. And one of the key things that we try to reinforce there is obviously the branding and the imagery. And as you're trying to build your workplace program and get your people engaged in the new ways of working, the platform is helping you across all of these different interfaces. We also have updates coming, and I know Michael mentioned this, updates coming in the analytics area of the forum. So there's some back-end changes that are going on, some very fundamental architectural improvements that are going on, but what you'll see is a slew of new reports and widgets that will not only make it easier for you to aggregate and visualize data, but share that data more easily within and even outside of your organization if you chose to do that. So the fall release cycle also includes improvements to the analytics component. On the digital signage side, and this is what we're just talking about with Intel, there's so much to talk about with Intel and all the amazing things that are happening there. We actually have an update to the room kiosk, which was shown in some slides there, an update coming specifically for the Market Ready Solution program to help make that even easier to use and get started by people. If you were to order one of our kiosks from us or a third party or Intel or anyone, you'll be able to take it out of the box and get going right away. It's going to step you, even if you don't have a forum yet, it'll help you get going and use the forum software to make that process as easy as it can be. At the same time, we have this Unite initiative underway, which is, as was mentioned, where we were talking about the goal of Unite and making sure that meetings and conferences and collaboration events get going as quickly and effortlessly as possible so that all parties can share information and communicate. What we're bringing to the table is not only the knowledge of the schedule of the space, but who should be in the space and how to get them connected and up even faster. So if you think about the day in the life experience of a person, they would walk up, they would see on the digital sign outside of the meeting room that the room is expecting them. They could touch the sign or touch their RFID reader or what have you to the sign to tell the room that they're there. We then are communicating from the Unite Hub to the displays in the room and get that meeting up and going even faster and easier. So really exciting things coming on the Unite side as well. And as if that's not enough, and there's a lot going on coming out from AgilQuest. So if you're a forum customer already, like I said, really the next, call it 6 weeks of the year are going to be so exciting as so much of new feature function is going to be released to you. There's something fundamentally new coming to the market in the fall release, and I couldn't be more excited to talk about it, but I have to be a little secretive with it, and that is that the fall release is going to be the way that we will be able to break down the barriers of real estate so that you can drive collaboration not only inside but outside of your organization. What I mean by that is that in the fall release, if you are an AgilQuest customer, you will automatically have access to hundreds of business centers around the world. It is, you can choose to use the fall release. You can choose to use the AgilQuest forum, only within your space and keep your collaboration and sharing internal. But if you need to go outside, to go beyond your space, and let's say you need to go to Boston and you don't have a location in Boston, you're immediately going to be able to go and see what space is available for you in Boston. So from third-party space providers. So not only will this one system be helping your internal teams manage and improve the way they collaborate and share the space and all the business assets inside of your organization, but from that very same platform, you'll be able to go out and book space from third-party space providers. It's really exciting. I can't wait to show it off, and we're going to be showing that in the December webinar because it will be live in production. We already have the business partners lined up with the third-party space providers to start offering space to all of our customers outside of their walls. So really breaking down the barriers, driving collaboration, driving productivity inside and outside of your space. That's all I'm allowed to say for now. I have to hand it back to Ashley, but please watch your mailboxes and sign up for that December webinar so we can actually show you this. Very exciting stuff.
Wow, Torrance, that is exciting. I know I can't wait. We've been, talking about this for a long time, and here we finally are, so definitely excited. So thank you, Michael, Dane, and Torrance. Again, that was all really great, exciting news. And we've gathered a few questions throughout the demonstration. So before I get to those, I just want to bring your attention to the slide. Torrance mentioned the December webinar. It will be on December 6th. We are going to be focusing on the shared forums, and if you want to go ahead and register, there's a link right there on your screen, but we'll also be sending out an email starting early next week with all the registration information. So really, really do hope you decide to come back and take a peek at that because it's definitely going to be a truly disruptive new strategy for your workplace. So, all right. That brings us to some questions. Please don't forget to enter in any additional questions you may have in the Q&A panel, and we'll get them in line. But let's get started. I'll kind of start with the first ones that have come in. Michael, maybe you can answer this. Can you assign certain spaces to specific people? For example, we have different departments that we want to be able to reserve space that's only assigned to them.
Yes, absolutely. So we handle that through user groups and asset groups, and that is a standard feature in the forum. You can have everyone have access to everything, or you can have each department have access to their own assigned spaces.
Great. All right. Does the platform work with sensors? Maybe Torrance, that'd be a good question for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It sure does. And this was mentioned very briefly up front about the, well, it was actually mentioned a couple times during the conversation, but it was mentioned briefly up front that we have an open API layer that sits in front of the application. So not only do we have our sensor providing partners, including in that is, of course, the Unite ecosystem and the sensors that are available within conference rooms from Unite. And that includes lighting and motion and heat and all kinds of sensor technology. But if you have sensors already embedded in your environment and want to integrate them into our platform, we absolutely can do that as well. The sensors can communicate directly into our platform. There was a brief mention at the beginning also of what we call our presence listener, and that presence listener is something that is out and available in the market. It includes an open message format. It's that particular instance that we were talking about was talking about badging integration, but any type of presence information can be sent to us in that same format. So it is an absolute yes. There is yes sensors in the Unite ecosystem with which we can integrate. We have our partner sensors and the sensor models that they have available. And if you have your sensors, then I'd be happy to talk to you about how we can plug them into our open API and get you up and running.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you for expanding on all of that. Let's see, what's the next one? So do you have any kind of monitor or lobby view with floor plans or visitor check-in? Or...
Oh, I didn't talk about that because I was only talking about the very next release. All of that stuff that I mentioned is in our fall release cycle. But if you attend the December webinar, I can talk about that because that's coming shortly after. So stay tuned for that too.
Excellent. All right. Who can access the analytics component? Will the users be able to see all of that data and information?
Sure. I guess let me clarify that real quickly since I was the one who presented it. So there are two components to analytics. There are a very small base set of widgets that users will have access to, and it is primarily around how they are using their space. So they can track how good of stewards they're being, they can track their own no-shows, and they can track what popular times are at their home location or other locations that they have access to. The managerial dashboard has to be assigned. So even if you're an administrator, if you haven't been assigned by, let's say, the super administrator or the power administrator, if you haven't been assigned to have access to that data and analytics, then you won't be able to look at it. So you do have a level of control over which people in your organization actually have access to that valuable data.
Hey, Ashley, if I may add to that, this is one of the big things that we learned with our onboard system, which people listening to this or watching may be familiar with. Onboard has an absolute treasure trove of information in its Commander BI business intelligence platform, but only a very small group of people have access to it. What we wanted to do with the forum is give everyone access to the tools and technology around truly advanced BI analysis. As Michael said, if you're an end user in the system, you only get to see the information pertinent to you. So things that would be considered public or useful information within your organization. I don't mean public, generally public, but I mean things that are not kind of confidential within your organization. So you can see the busy times. You can see how you are using your space. You might be able to see how your friends are using space, so you can have some kind of see who's using the space the best. And then, obviously, for the more sensitive information, that is what's controlled by the privileges that Michael's talking about. But there's very powerful analytics in the hands of everybody using the platform, appropriate to their level.
That's really cool. All right. We talked a little bit about the data management and user management. Do you integrate with Active Directory or any other HR system?
So the way we do this is the answer is we can take data from Active Directory today. If you're familiar with what's called an ETL process of data transformation, extract, transform, load, how systems communicate data, the forum has built into it a loading capability. The extract and the transform of the data, the extract is always done by the customer. The transform can be done either by the customer or by us, but the loading is there. So the tools are all there, and every customer on the platform gets the templates so for how the data can be loaded into the system. So all of the information from Active Directory can be passed in through these open templates. There are some interesting things going on in R&D right now to make that even tighter and easier. But as it stands right now, included in your license to the forum is what we call the data management utility, which is the L part of the ETL process for the data manipulation. And then we can work with people to get, if you need it, we can work with you to get that data loaded in. So the answer is yes, Active Directory or any data source can be plugged into the system through the DMU.
All right, thank you. Do you offer pilots or a free trial? Michael?
Yes, absolutely. We offer pilots and free trial. If you're interested in that, please reach out to sales@agilquest.com and we'll start working with you immediately.
Great. All right. Let's see. What kind of pricing plans do you offer, and are there implementation fees?
Yeah. You want me to cover everything? Okay.
Don, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, we have a platform, and then
Don, the audio blinked out for a minute, or not a minute there, but right as you were starting to talk, the audio blinked out. If you could start over.
Okay. Sure. Apologies for that. Yeah, we have a couple of different pricing plans really designed to try to meet the type of organization you have and the type of use that you experience around your real estate assets. So, there is call it an all-in price that has kind of unlimited use for the assets that you choose to put onto the platform. And then we have a very new type of pricing program or plan for workplaces, in the marketplace. It's the first of its kind, and it's really a consumption model. So there's a very low base annual fee, and then you pay for what you use. So there's a transaction charge for each time that you use a room or asset, and so it really, allows you to go, to the what fits your organization from a planning and budgeting purpose. There's a small one-time setup and provisioning fee for the platform, and so, it's very easy to get in and get started with a small number of assets and get a platform up and running.
Great. Well, thank you. And it kind of falls into the implementation, but this one is more directed at Dane. Dane, who can use Unite? Is it ready? How do we get started? Who can we contact?
Yeah, sure. So Unite is available on many of our Core i5 and Core i7 platforms. It requires the ability to use what we call active management technology. So there's a specific set of SKUs, but there's a number of resellers that deliver Intel NUCs or sometimes other embedded devices. And typically what happens is that compute device is mounted behind or somewhere near the display. And it logs into your wireless network. So provided and that can be on a guest network or a private network, provided your device is on the same wireless network or connectable to that IT infrastructure, you can open the app and broadcast to the display in that location. And one thing from a security standpoint that I think is worth mentioning is there's a programmable PIN solution as part of any Unite room, where and what the AgilQuest system will do with this new release is boot up the room, turn on the Unite system, provide you with the PIN, you enter the PIN into your application, and you're instantly presenting or watching other presenters. And it's also worth noting that is also possible from a multi-location standpoint. So you can use Unite remotely, as I do. I'm a work-from-home salesperson. Use Unite remotely to either present or access in the room itself by having that PIN.
That's such a great feature, especially as, we're talking about the flexible workplace. That's excellent that you can be remote with that. So,
yeah.
Great. Well, great. That was the last question that we had come in. If anyone else has any additional questions, feel free to reach out and email us or put your information in the chat box, and we will get in touch with you following the webinar. Thank you all again for joining and spending your Thursday afternoon with us. I think Michael had mentioned earlier, if you would like a more personalized demonstration, please reach out. You can email sales@agilquest.com, and we will be happy to set something up. And again, look for the webinar registration announcement in your inbox starting next week. That will be on December 6th. So make sure you come to that, and make sure you invite all of your colleagues so they can hear about the exciting new features and functionality with the shared forums. All right, well, that'll do it for us today here at AgilQuest. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Dane, for joining, and we will see you next time.